Cobra says, I'd be better off buying a 1965 70 Mustang than a 24 Mustang. Okay, you're smoking crack now, Cobra 460. Get in one. You know, when you look at a girl with a BBL and fake tits, you're like, man, that girl looks so good. And then you get them in bed, and you're like, this isn't what I thought it would be. I thought it would be amazing. I thought the booty would feel fucking fantastic. I thought the tetas would look great. And then you start really looking under the hood, and they got a T-shaped scar under the boob. They got a fucking scar from left to right, but they actually hit it with like vines and roses. Yeah, that's what women do. They get the tummy tuck, and then where the scar was, they put a tattoo of like vines and roses. And then the BBL feels weird. That is a 64 Mustang, 65 Mustang, 65 to 70 Mustang. Well, I'm going to get a 65. I'm going to get a 65 to 70 refurbished, Boss 429. And you get in it, and it's a fucking carbureted. I love carburetors, but I know the pros and cons of having a carbureted car. One, you stink. You stink. You get in it, you're going to stink. If you think you're going to go out with dinner with your wife or whatever and come back not smelling like 93 octane, you are psychotic. Number two, they drive like shit. Unless you got a roadster shop chassis under the motherfucker. And that is a $100,000 build. So these people that say, I'd rather buy a 65 to 70 Mustang before I get a 24 GT, drive one. You will hate your fucking life. It is shit. I hate it. I'm a Fox body guy. They're garbage. That's why I laugh when 0304 Cobra guys talk highly about that vehicle. It's a Fox body. That bitch is a nice Fox body, but it's still a fucking Fox body. So you won't catch me dead spending over $10,000, no matter what, for a Fox body. Have you seen them at Barrett Jackson? Have you seen the 93 Cobra with 2 miles? Oh my God, that's so sick. Then you get in it, it's fucking trash. Look at that Grand National. Man, I listened to Kendrick's album and I want a Grand National. Get in that bitch. It's fucking trash. The door never ends on a Grand National. You open the door and it just is the longest fucking thing on the planet. And then when you pull it back with that little sling it has and it breaks off the fucking off the side, you're like, why the hell would anyone buy these vehicles? When these people talk about older cars and how they used to drive, and on the Street Alpha podcast, I did mention that if you went from a 2014, I was making fun of the S650. That's what was happening. I said, the driving experience between a 2023 Mustang and a 2024 Mustang is negligible. It is the same chassis. It is the same motor. It is the same transmission. It is the same IRS. It is the same general body dimensions. But in 2014, if you were used to driving a 2014 GT and then you drove an S550, you thought you got in a spaceship. I remember John Whedon. I think his name is John Whedon. Mike Whedon. He is now a tuner at VMP. He used to be the tech at VMP for a long time. So he was a Mitsubishi guy, DSM guy. So he was very mechanically inclined, way more than I was. He's excellent. I thought he was such a good tech that he could come into the tuning world and thrive, and he did. And I believe he's very good. Unfortunately, he's working for a company that, whatever. But at the end of the day, I think he himself is excellent. He knows engines and cars. So he started working on these cars not knowing anything about Mustangs. So he's working on 11s, he's working on 13s, 14s. Then a 15 rolls up. He puts a TVS on it, drives. He goes, I tell you what, driving that is like driving a spaceship. It is like absolutely driving a spaceship. The infotainment, wonderful. The driving, the IRS, you hit a pothole, your teeth are still you're not chattering. The steering was better. The interior was light years better. Everything was better. It was a little softer. I'll give it that. It was a little softer. But a performance package GT in 2015 versus a Brembo equipped performance package 14 GT, Not even close in terms of driving experience. You had to get used to it. It was totally different. So when they changed generations from Gen 3 to Gen 4, I thought there would be a huge difference. What's the difference? Imagine having a Supra and they call it a different generation, but it's the same Supra. It's the same Supra, just a different motor, maybe a couple. You're like, wait a minute, what's different? It's like the GTR. You guys can school me on the GTR because I don't know shit about GTR. Is the same since 2009. So the R35, do they say it's a different generation? The one that Paul Walker didn't die in. So 09, 2009. 10, carry the 2. 16 years. 16 years. They've literally given you the exact same fucking car. You're telling me I could buy an '09 GTR and people would look at it and go, I don't know exactly what year that is. That's the problem with me and Mustang. They call it the Gen 4 Mustang, and then they dared call it the S650. No, this is an S550 and a half. I wouldn't have cared if you called it what should have Ford called the Gen 4, quote unquote, Gen 4 Coyote equipped Mustang? Why did you call it the S650? The chassis is the same. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, aren't there assholes already making retrofit kits for these cars? They're retrofitting the 24 nose into a 2018 to 2023. Why the fuck would you want to do that? Why on God's green earth would you want to make your 18 to 23 Mustang look like a 24 Mustang? Right. I think it should have been called the S550 and a half. Gen 2 to Gen 3 was the bigger change than the Gen 3 to Gen 4. The Gen 2 15 to 17 had an MT82 where fifth was 1-to-1. And then in 2018, they different transmission, MT82 D4 version, different motor, DI equipped 302 with better cams, better valves, higher compression. They changed stuff. What the fuck did they change on the Gen 4? One more throttle body. One more throttle body. And untunable. And the worst selling Mustang in its 60-year history. How about them apples?